Come on. There's a million of us amongst the crowd waiting inside the gates, and as soon as you think it's safe, when the lights go down and you least expect it, that's when we'll straight your bow. There's a million of us amongst the crowd waiting inside the gates, and as soon as you think it's safe, when the lights go down and you least expect it, that's when we'll straight your bow. This is just the beginning. Take me more than a minute. I got something to prove. Same story, just.
My name is Jason Peter Clark. I am from Danbury, Connecticut originally, but I've been living in Florida for over 12 years now, mostly in Jacksonville. I am a T9 incomplete spinal cord injury, happened in 2006. It was a motorcycle wreck, my third wreck on the bike, so I didn't learn my lesson. T9 means thoracic injury. Thoracic is part of your spinal cord where you have your C section, which is your cervical, your thoracic, and then your lumbar. So I'm about right here, which is about your belly button. And incomplete meaning I still have some function, whereas if someone was complete, they would be more or less unable to feel or move anything.
Only the names change, protect the innocent. The odds are against us, it's obvious, isn't it? We got the same vision, we hate to listen. Do whatever it takes to find a break in the system. Got heads in check, no need for a handguard. When we got everyone screaming the anthem, come on! There's a million of us amongst the crowd waiting inside the gates, and as soon as you think it's safe, when the lights go down and you least expect it, that's when we'll straight your bow. There's a million of us amongst the crowd waiting inside the gates, and as soon as you think it's safe, when the lights go down and you least expect it, that's when we'll straight your bow. Erase the mistakes I made in my past. I was misdirected like a kid neglected. I turn around, police are breathing down my necklace. Come if they can't take a joke, they can't slow my roll. Now that I'm on the right road to success, it's sick, it is infectious. Now it's down to the wire, under the gun for hire. They should be running for cover, we setting the place on fire. There's a million of us amongst the crowd waiting inside the gates, and as soon as you
When it first happened, I didn't even realize like what, I didn't even contemplate. I used to ride this motorcycle thinking ride or die, and never thought that in between would ever happen. And it did, of course, but I didn't really realize what a wheelchairing was, honestly. I never even considered that side of it. And when I remember being in the hospital, I mean, I was in there for 3 months. What happened, let me just start off with saying exactly what happened. I broke my back in 9 places. I shattered my pelvis. I shattered my right hip. 4 ribs, my femur, bruised spleen. I collapsed both my lungs, one completely and one 3/4. So I had 25% working in one of my lungs, and I was able to gasp for air. I got a trach because of it, but gasping for air was the reason why I didn't have a brain injury. They gave me a trach, like I said, and 2 on the side here and 1 over here. And I broke my back. The nine places, luckily 8 of them were just my back, not my spinal cord. But that one area did affect. I had a contusion, and it swelled up. And so I had a spinal cord injury because of it. The hardest time was probably right after the hospital, getting out of the hospital. I was in there for 3 months, like I said, and I got out on Valentine's Day, actually. And the accident actually occurred on Black Friday. So you know, do the math there. And so I got out. You know, that's when when life hits you, or reality hits you, and you know, this isn't like, oh, I'm out of the hospital, I'm okay now. Well, for me, I was you know, okay. I wasn't gonna die, you know, but now it's like, okay, now what do I do? You know, like I still felt like I was going to recover fully, completely. I still felt like, you know, well, I can feel my toes, I can move them, I can move my legs. So I'm just waiting for everything else to like kick in, and eventually it'll be like little increments built up to me being able to dance and move and climb and run again like I used to. Of course, the longer I waited, the longer it didn't happen, and the longer I laid around, the more depressed I got. And you know, 2 years after, I found myself still in the same position, feeling sorry for myself, and hating life. And I would go out in public and be embarrassed, and I'd actually look forward to coming home to feel sorry for myself and lay in my bed and just watch TV. I loved sports and stuff, so I just kind of laid around watching sports all day, you know? Yeah, and it was tough, you know, because you had all these plans, and I was 23 at the time, so I don't think I mentioned that part, but you know, when you're young like that, you have a lot of goals, you have a lot of aspirations, you have a lot of expectations about what your future and what you have planned for, and then something abrupt like this happens, and it just kind of like, your whole world is shattered.
It's safe when the lights go down and you least expect it. That's when we'll straight your bow. There's a million of us amongst the crowd waiting inside the gates, and as soon as you think it's safe, when the lights go down and you least expect it, that's when we'll straight your bow. It's like they want us to fit in a format. I tell you what, man, I won't be used for no doormat. They say, can't you just act normal or something? The machine's out of order, no push of a button is gonna be able to fix it. And you gotta listen, just do me a favor, don't touch the radio unless we say so. This ain't the same road, we don't play by the same code. If it's not working, then what's the whole purpose? Right now, we're tired of going in circles. Lights out, looking overdosing, it's curtains. We in this toe to toe, I know this for certain. Thinking it's time that we lifted this burden and collected with soul. Only a second ago, got heads in check, no need for a handgun. When we got everyone screaming the anthem, come on! There's a million of us amongst the crowd waiting inside the gates, and as soon as you think it's safe, when the lights go down and you least expect it, that's when we'll straight your bow.
I wished many times that I wish I had died instead of getting this happening to me at the time. And you know, like I said, going through it in my mind, you think about girls, and you think about your life now and how that's going to affect your plans that you had before, like your career, you know, kids, just everyday life things, even like just traveling or going to the store, you know, whether it's A or B. The biggest part for me though was honestly the women side of it, because I was always so used to going out and, you know, meeting someone and having a good interaction, and now it was just embarrassing to be seen in public. So getting over all that crap was probably the biggest obstacle for me mentally than physically. I mean, physically, I was still strong. I still had a lot of ability, but I didn't care about any of that. All I wanted to do was get better. And if that wasn't going to happen, then I didn't care about anything else. And so my mentality was a vicious cycle of just negativity, and you know, so I left my mind out there and just kind of laid around. After the accident, I wish I had at least found myself a little bit quicker. Maybe I would have had a little bit more time to, I don't know, get better at basketball or something like that. I don't know. I didn't end up playing basketball until what, 5 years after my accident. You know, I've been playing for about 2.5 years now, and I love it, love it, love it, love it. I just wish I had found it earlier, and that was, again, has to do with my mentality at the time. So it was just a big hold on a lot of things. And if I'm speaking to anybody, I'm speaking to the guys out there that just get hurt. Your life isn't over, of course, not at all, and we'll get into all of that, but try to get that mentality quick, change it quick, you know, because it's not over, it's just different.
There's a million of us amongst the crowd waiting inside the gates, and as soon as you think it's safe, when the lights go down and you least expect it, that's when we'll straight your bow. There's a million of us, 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 there's a million of us.
Just up to your head, just up to the eyelid, not the high, not the eyelid. Yep, right there, good.
You know, it's right. You hear all this nonsense.
One day happened where I was just tired of being the person I was. I'm laying around, and I actually remember the day, and I decided, you know, a light bulb went off, and I decided that I wasn't going to be this person anymore. I was going to go to school. I was going to, I mean, I had a new wheelchair, so it was like a fresh start in a way. I hate to say it like that, but I got into that new wheelchair, and I dressed up, I showered, I cleaned myself up, and I went out that night, and I felt good. I met some good people, actually. I went out with them. And my mentality at that point was just like, okay, this isn't going to change. You can't lay around. And that's what it was. I was just tired of laying around, not knowing if it was a Saturday or a Thursday, you know? And so living at your parents' place, you know, it was like an ultimate rock bottom, you know, at 23, 24, 25 years old at that point. And so I just decided that this wasn't going to be the life I was living anymore, and I was going to make changes. And one of the biggest things I could say to help somebody, besides, you know, try to get over that hump of, you know, injury, is time, because time is ultimately was what heals all. And for me, it just took a little bit longer. But getting out and just being myself again felt great, as much as I could. And at times I'd be like, well, this isn't completely me because I'm in a wheelchair. Well, it's not true, because it's still who you are. Inside, you're still yourself. And I realized that once I found like people around me that were in similar situations, or just going out and talking to people, and then relating, or just having some kind of understanding or empathy, you know, you get you understand, okay, this isn't so bad anymore. I mean, people don't think I'm a freak or anything like that. You know, they don't look at me as someone who's completely different. They look at me as just another person. You know, I date somebody now, shit, because I'm in a wheelchair. She tells me that all the time. You know, so it's just getting over all that, what happened. And for me, you know, I always had a resilient kind of attitude about things, and I never really wanted help with anything in lots of ways. So I always wanted things to be done by me or on my own, you know. So for me to have this epiphany, or whatever you want to call it, of, you know, I'm going to make a difference, I was determined to make that happen. And so, you know, I had a car, I got my license, I already had my license, I mean, so I got into the car, I got the insurance, and I got that going. And once I had the car, I was able to go and go places with my own, you know, independence, and not have to worry about if someone's going to pick me up or not. So, you know, that was an ultimate advantage moving forward with everything, and that helped a lot. And then sure enough, being able to find basketball, and then hand cycling, and all these activities that I enjoyed doing, and then meeting people with similar situations, and just having a good time with them and relating and stuff. And so you kind of, you don't feel so alone anymore. You know, you don't feel isolated. And discovering on that how many things you can really do in a wheelchair, or how many things you can do without considering the wheelchair, is insurmountable. I mean, I've gone to Hawaii, I've gone to New Orleans, I've gone to Chicago, I've taken the subway system down these 1930 stairs. In Hawaii, I didn't just go to Hawaii, I went out on a little paddle boat by myself with snorkel gear, jumped into the water on the break area where the sea turtles were, and went swimming with sea turtles by myself. My friend was with me, but she was off in the distance, and I just did what I wanted to do. These are just small little examples, but there is nothing that you can't do in a wheelchair that you were able to do before. I mean, if you really want to do it, there's absolutely ways to get it done. You know, you can do whatever you want, you know, and especially with confidence growing, you know, you learn little tricks here and there, and getting up off curbs, the small little things that are annoying, you know, you'll figure out ways around it. And so with all that said, you know, it's just about changing the mind, and changing the ideology, and then squashing stereotypes.
Big power, big power.
Inside the gates, and as soon as you think it's safe, when the lights go down and you least expect it, that's when we'll straight your bow. There's a million of us, 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 there's a million
Spirit Strong appealed to me immediately, basically. So once I found out that there was a bunch of guys that play basketball like me, you know, for me, working out was something that it didn't feel like work. It felt weird if I didn't do it on a daily basis, literally. And it became so much a part of my life at the time that I wanted to make that my profession. So when I wrecked, you know, everything was like, oh, I don't care, of course. But Spirit Strong has been a way for me, an outlet to get my workouts in. And it's a great outlet to just work out with these great guys and feel great with what you're doing, you know, and being able to spread that awareness and try to squash the stereotypes is it's priceless, you know. It's what we're here for, and I am so proud to be a part of that. Just to be able to give back a little bit and show what we're all made of. Feels good. We are human, and we all have these kind of emotions, especially when something traumatic like this happens to you. One of my friends, she's a psychology major. She said, besides losing a child, going from completely healthy to handicapped or disabled in some way is like the hardest thing mentally to go through. And everyone's different, of course, but you know, I would always say, just time heals. Your life is definitely not over. You can do anything and everything that you want to do before, you can still do now. It just might be a little different, and you never know what the future is going to hold. I mean, the technologies that are already coming out are just amazing. So it's not over, it's just different. And you might not have the plan you had before, but I mean, you know, that's what life is about. You know, it's not about, you know, a planned situation. It's about adapting to changes, and whether they be small or big. And we all have our own obstacles and times where we just have to figure out what we're going to do next. And some people wear that on their sleeve, and some people you couldn't even tell, but we all have them. And you know, for those guys out there that are just laying around like the way I was, like I said, just don't. It's okay to have those emotions and that. Just don't be there forever. You know, get out of there and find a way, find an outlet, find something that you love to do, and get with people that are in similar situations, and you'll see over time. It was just that mindset at the time. Believe me, it will change.